This is Top 30. The opioid crisis is having a devastating effect on thousands of children across the country. A drug commission formed by President Trump estimates 142 people die each and every day based on 2015 data, and that number could be even higher today. And countless other addicts are in and out of drug rehab clinics trying to get sober, while others are hospitalized. The sad reality is that many of these people have children who are caught in the middle of this crisis. A group called National Kids Count says 30,000 more kids were in foster care in 2015 than in 2012, reversing years of continued decline. State and federal officials say the opioid epidemic contributed to that reversal. In many cases, grandparents step in to take care of the child, and they can have a hard time affording daycare, food, diapers. On top of that, there can be extensive legal and adoption fees when grandparents officially take custody of a child. Just more evidence of how dark, deep, and devastating the opioid crisis is in America.
These are your quick hits. SeaWorld is laying off 350 employees due to low attendance at their theme parks. The company claims they've had public perception issues ever since the 2013 documentary Blackfish highlighted the park's treatment of their killer whales. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is keeping fans updated on her breast cancer diagnosis with this lighthearted photo on Instagram. Chemo number 2, finito, she captioned it, adding lyrics from the Katy Perry song Roar. She also thanked her Veep co-stars for their hilarious and loving inspiration. And maybe this Ohio man should have thought twice about proposing to his girlfriend at a fruit farm.
Will you marry me?
Are you lying?
No.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Well, that's one way to say yes. It's been a month since Hurricane Maria struck Puerto Rico. 3.5 million people on the island are wondering when things will get better. 80% of the territory is without electricity. There are only a few hundred electrical workers trying to restore power. Texas had over 5,000 working on the grid after Hurricane Harvey for a power outage about a tenth of the size. Experts blame poor planning, slow government response, and Puerto Rico's financial problems. But that's no help to the people there. This is Blanca Rivera and Edward Rodriguez. The only shelter they can find is in their car after their home became one of the many buildings wiped out in the storm. Maribel Valentin Espino told Fox News she and her family haven't seen any workers since the storm blocked roads to their mountain community. She said, "People say FEMA is going to help us. We're waiting." Twice a week, Ricardo Castellanos travels to San Juan. It's one of the only areas Puerto Ricans can still get on the internet. He's trying to reach his 2 daughters. He says, "We're in a state of emergency." Officials say the country may not have electricity restored for 6 months. So if you're thinking, how can I help? We've posted some info on the Top 30 Facebook page.
It is time now for Royal Watch with the Sun. Let's check in with the legendary Arthur Edwards, the Sun's royal photographer for 40 years. First he was in London, then he was at a fancy villa in Portugal, and now he's in Northern Ireland. Arthur, welcome back. Where exactly are you?
I'm here covering Prince Charles visiting the flooded areas. Northern Ireland had terrible floods in August.
Arthur, tell me there's news about Kate's due date.
It came out April next year, and they've put off a royal tour. They were going to Norway and Sweden in the late of the year in November, but they've cancelled that now, putting it on to early next year.
Arthur, there was some pictures of Kate this week with Paddington Bear. What happened?
Unexpectedly, she turned up. She wasn't supposed to be there, and Paddington Bear was there because it was at Paddington Station. And of course, Paddington Bear being an icon for children, it was there to entertain the children as well. And of course, he saw a chance to have a swirl with the Duchess, and he said, "Would you like to dance, ma'am?" And she did. And was delighted because, you know, to see the Duchess back and getting back to good health. 2 days later, she went to a club that I've been supporting ever since I was a little boy, West Ham United, and she met the team and was given shirts with Charlotte to George IV. And the fact that her husband, William, Prince William, is an avid Aston Villa fan, he said that's okay because they wear the same colours.
I look forward to next week when the world tour with Arthur Edwards continues.
Okay.
Arthur, thank you. You can now use Google Maps to see incredible images from outer space, including planets, moons, and the International Space Station. The images showcase 12 new worlds, including Saturn, Pluto, and Venus. The images are in 3D, so they can rotate, giving you interactive information about what you're looking at. Google partnered with NASA, the European Space Agency, and an astronomical artist to create this virtual galaxy and used more than 500,000 pictures taken by spacecraft over the past 20 years. So if you want to use it, go to Google Maps and zoom out until you can see the entire Earth. There'll be a menu there with different planets and moons listed, and you can marvel at our insignificance.
Letters that Barack Obama wrote to his then-girlfriend in the 80s are now available to the public. 9 handwritten notes that he sent to Alexandra McNear between 1982 and 1984 are at the library at Emory University for students and visitors to read in person by appointment only. Rosemary McGee, director of the Rose Library, calls the letters intimate and philosophical, and we'd have to agree. Check out this excerpt. He signed the letter, "Love Barack," and part of it read, "I trust you know that I miss you, that my concern for you is as wide as the air, my confidence in you as deep as the sea, my love rich and plentiful." Well, we knew he was romantic, but wow, now we have it in writing.
Let's go to the New York Stock Exchange for our Fox Business Minute with your friend and mine, Nicole Pedalides. Nicole, I'm hearing big things about MasterCard and receipts.
That's right, Richard. Well, signing receipts could be a thing of the past. MasterCard users can now forget about signing on the dotted line. The company says that with today's technologies, there are better and faster ways to authenticate customers' identities. About 80% of MasterCard transactions in North America already don't require a signature, but this move will leave it up to merchants in the U.S. and Canada to decide how customers will pay. And how's this for a sweet deal? Well, global chocolate giant Ferrero is buying Ferrara Candy Company, which makes favorites like Lemon Heads and Red Hots. Sources say the Italian candy maker, which produces favorites like Ferrero Rocher and Nutella, is also considering a bid to buy Nestle's U.S. candy business. And how does your favorite car rank in reliability? Well, Consumer Reports' 2018 rankings are out. The top brands are Toyota, Lexus, Kia, Audi, and BMW. The most reliable models are the Toyota 86 sports car, followed by the Lexus ES sedan.
Nicole, were there any surprises for you in the report?
Well, Chrysler moved up in the rankings with the new Pacifica, but Chrysler is still in the bottom half as a brand. Acura and Mazda and Cadillac dropped significantly, with the Cadillac Escalade as one of the least reliable models. And some of my favorites, like Jaguar, Maserati, and Alfa Romeo, were not included in the ranking because there was not sufficient survey data.
Bomb-sniffing dogs help to protect people, planes, and buildings here in the United States and abroad. This dog does absolutely none of that. The CIA announced this week that a puppy it was training for explosive detection has left the program. The black Labrador, named Lulu, was, quote, no longer interested in searching for explosives. Like humans, the canine recruits have the occasional bad day, and the agency attempted to motivate Lulu with extra playtime and treats, but she made it clear she was not enjoying herself sniffing cinder blocks and paint cans for explosives. Because the trainers have to take the animal's psychological well-being into account, they removed her from the program in what they called an extremely difficult decision. Lulu has since been adopted by her former CIA handler. Whilst this lack of patriotism is disappointing, there are currently no regulations in the CIA covering desertion by dogs. A new study found that kids 8 and younger spend about 48 minutes every day staring at a mobile screen, and that is more than 3 times higher than just 4 years ago. The study was done by Common Sense Media, which is a non-profit organization that analyzes media and technology, and the results show that 42% of those kids have their own device, and that is up from 7% 4 years ago and 1% in 2011. Researchers say that letting your kids use devices is not a bad thing, but you should monitor their use. The only thing I let my children watch on mobile devices is me. Hi, Arthur.
Our standards of beauty have significantly changed over the years, and it's a good thing. A new study compared People magazine's 50 most beautiful issues from 1990 to 2017 and found that as a whole, the definition of beauty has become more inclusive. 76% of the people featured in the 1990 issue were white, compared to just 60% in 2017. And beauty is aging as well. In 1990, only 4% of the most beautiful were between the ages of 45 and 54. But in 2017, it was nearly 20%. Since 2010, 6 of the celebrities featured on the cover of the issue were older than 40 years old. The shade of beauty is more inclusive too. In 1990, 88% of the featured people fell between type 1 and type 2 on the Fitzpatrick scale of human skin color. But by 2017, 29.6% of the people fell between types 4 and 6 on the scale. The paper's co-author, Dr. Neelam Vashi, says, "This exposure makes us realize that beauty can be so many different things and can change and evolve. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, so I'm glad we're finally opening our eyes." In today's hometown stories from Fox 46 Charlotte, girls in elementary school got brand new sneakers thanks to their after-school program. Girls on the Run is a nonprofit that uses running to teach healthy habits and lifestyle skills to 3rd through 8th grade girls. It serves almost 200,000 girls every year, including 6,000 girls in the Charlotte area. Sneaker company ASICS donated 50,000 shoes to Girls on the Run, 300 of which will go on the feet of Charlotte runners. And the girls couldn't be happier about their new kicks. In our second story from Fox 26 Houston, rapper Trey the Truth is delivering mattresses and cleaning supplies to people affected by Hurricane Harvey in Pasadena, Texas. The rapper was there during the height of the storm, rescuing people from the floodwaters. Now Trey the Truth and DJ Mr. Rogers formed a relief gang to provide continued support to people in the Houston area in the months to come. And in our final story from Fox 5 New York, an 8-year-old cancer patient got the chance to live out his dream of being a New York Islander for a day. Last year, Brandon Bloom was diagnosed with stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. His favorite sport is hockey, and the Islanders gave Brandon the star treatment, an honorary locker, official gear, and he even got to practice with the team.
It's really cool, and I'm having a lot of fun.
Brandon's parents say he was able to get his mind off treatment, and it was a day he'll never forget.
Amazon may be looking for a way to charge your electric car while you drive. The company received a patent this month for a drone that would travel to cars with low batteries and provide a charge while the car was moving. As part of the patent, Amazon has this illustration of a docking station on the roof of a car that would basically allow the drone to plug in and charge the battery. So presumably a car would request a charge, a drone would be dispatched, provide the charge through the docking station while you drive, then fly back to its home base. If it sounds improbable, experts say at this point it probably is. They caution that Amazon gets patents for various things that never come to fruition. But even if we never really see this happen, it is pretty exciting there are companies out there that think this way.
A contest for America's top young scientist has a winner, and she's just 11. 7th grader Gitanjali Rao won this year's Discovery Education and 3M Young Scientist Challenge. She invented a sensor that can detect lead in water better than other methods. Rao wanted to take action after learning about the ongoing water crisis in Flint, Michigan. She said, "I was appalled by the number of people affected by lead contamination in water, and I wanted to do something to change this." Rao worked on the prototype in the science room she asked her parents to set up in their Colorado home. It's called Tethys, after the Greek goddess of water. She won a grand prize of $25,000. Some of that will be set aside for college. Rao says when she grows up, she wants to be either a geneticist or epidemiologist. She also has a piece of advice: never be afraid to try.
A new USA Today poll says 43% of Americans between 45 and 65 years old don't plan to move after retirement. Rodney Harrell, Director of Livability Thought Leadership for AARP, says the vast majority of older adults want to stay in their homes and communities. The survey of 1,170 adults says while a majority of retirees have packed up and moved in the past, that is no longer the case. 33% say thanks to the recovery from the 2000s housing crisis, they can now afford to move, and 24% of people polled say they don't know what they'll do. Because so many people are retiring later and are therefore older, they increasingly want to just stay near the people they know.
Every little girl dreams of becoming a princess, but none of them believe they'll actually meet a prince, especially not in a nightclub. But according to the New York Times, that's exactly what happened to Ariana Austin while she was hanging out in a DC club in 2005. Joel McConan spotted Ariana and told her she'd be his girlfriend, but in the end, she became his wife. Joel, aka Prince Yoel, is the great-grandson of Haile Selassie, the last emperor of Ethiopia, and part of the Solomonic dynasty. Like a Disney fairy tale, it must have been fate, because Ariana is actually the granddaughter of the Lord Mayor of Georgetown, Guyana, making her of noble blood. The real-life coming to America story has only just begun, because the royal lovebirds were recently married in a private ceremony among friends and family. So maybe mom's wrong. You really can find a keeper at the club.
A company is billing itself as Uber for dog walking, and not unlike Uber, it's drawing controversy. Wag is an app that finds someone to walk your dog and charges around $20 to $25 for a half-hour walk. You could also watch on an Uber-like map where they walked your dog. It's been successful enough that it's looking for $100 million to expand. Bloomberg reports that potential investors became wary after the story of a missing dog sparked outrage online. Buddy went missing from his Long Island home last month while under the care of a Wag contractor. His owner, Mary Ellen Humphrey, alleges Wag tried to pay her in exchange for keeping quiet. When she spoke to reporters, she received a cease and desist letter. Wag denies her claims. Luckily, Buddy turned up after 3 weeks, but 2 other New York dog owners say their pets went missing while in the care of Wag sitters and were eventually hit by cars. Wag disputes both accounts. Americans spent about $70 billion on their pets last year, and even more on apps. 2 highly profitable worlds colliding if they can get people to trust strangers with their pets. There is a California restaurant unapologetically reserving Popeyes chicken as their own. Sweet Dixie Kitchen, a popular Long Beach breakfast joint, sells chicken and waffles for $13. But one Yelp review recently outed them for using Popeyes chicken tenders. The chicken they use is from Popeyes, Yelper Tyler H. wrote. Before my friends and I got seated, we saw them quickly bring in 2 large boxes of Popeyes to the kitchen. The restaurant owner, Kimberly Sanchez, responded saying they proudly serve Popeyes spicy tenders, calling them, quote, the best fried chicken anywhere. Some customers say they feel duped, but Sanchez claims it wasn't a secret, telling Fox, we wrote it on our board in the restaurant. Imported from Louisiana this week. Thank you, Popeyes.
Fashion lines are expanding to fit an increasingly diverse market. And while efforts have been made to include a broader range of sizes, races, and gender identities, an often forgotten audience are people with disabilities. But that may be changing. As Bloomberg reported, a major designer has thrown his hat into the ring, Tommy Hilfiger. Hilfiger's adaptive clothing line debuted this week with a variety of modifications like Velcro closures, magnetic flies, and adjusted leg hems that can accommodate braces and orthotics. And the models Hilfiger is using for the line have physical disabilities. Fashion site Racked reported the move toward inclusion is helping people like Jillian Mercado, who has muscular dystrophy, to sign with major modeling agencies like IMG Models. We hope more designers make fashion truly inclusive. After all, you express yourself through your clothing, and everyone should have that option. Marvel action hero Jeremy Renner is catching heat from fans amidst allegations of censorship and contest rigging on his personal app named Jeremy Renner, of course. According to The Ringer, backlash on social media has been so severe, one fan compared Renner's app to a totalitarian regime. Jeremy Renner, the app, was built and operated by EscapeX, who managed an in-app contest that's infuriating some fans who claim it was rigged. And not only that, the prize was advertised as a coveted visit to the set of the latest Avengers movie. But according to some upset fans, it was actually just a visit to Renner's house, leaving them outraged. Instead of apologizing, those users claim Renner initiated a relaunch to wipe negative comments and enforce a policy of banning commenters who speak out against the actor. Even though most of the comments on the app are now positive, Renner's business manager, Christopher Winters, said after everything that's happened, the app may not be around for long.
That is it for today's Top 30. Here are some stories coming up that are worth knowing about. Will diet soda help you lose weight? That is the question behind several new lawsuits against soda makers. Amazon has built a wind farm that can power hundreds of thousands of homes. And one of these women is a 50-year-old mother. See if you can guess what the internet has gotten wrong. These stories and more coming up on the next Top 30.